And now, Giant Sports Talk Live. Here are your hosts, Eric and Glenn.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into a Saturday short on Giant Sports Talk Live, a Northern Lights Entertainment broadcast production. Thanks to our sponsors, Lefties in Burlingame, Duxwell Printing, Genesis Gold, IRA.com, Signatures over in Florida. They continue to raise great funds for needy soldiers who've returned. I know that's near and dear to a lot of your hearts, Eric included, and John and everybody, all the staff at bettercreditcards.com. Well, on this Saturday, we are a week away, hard to believe, a week away from the first pitch of our Giants exhibition season over in the Cactus League. But Eric, after a very long off season for the Giants, and here we are with spring training starting, a lot of unanswered questions, in my opinion, especially continually at first base and DH. What say you?
Yeah, I hear you talking about the long off season, man. I was disappointed. But anyways, I don't even want to go down that path right now. Let's talk about DH, first base. First base, for the most part, I think we know what we're going to get, but maybe we don't as well. DH, I think, is a bigger question. What are they going to do? I think Buster Posey has said that it's going to kind of be a revolving door type of situation when we're talking about the DH. In the thumbnail, I got Lamont Wade Jr., I got Bryce Eldridge, I got Gerard Encarnacion, who has been talked about here. If you've been following some Giants news on Twitter, it seems like they're pretty high on Encarnacion. If I'm not mistaken, I think Manassian. I think it's Manassian. I don't want to I always mess up his name. I think he was on Marty's Lurie show the other day, and they're pretty high on Encarnacion. And then, of course, your buddy, Wilmer Flores, reported the spring training in the best shape of his life. You know, that's the whole, I mean, that's just the thing that you always hear every. Come on,
Eric. Have you ever heard anybody go to camp? I'm not in the best shape.
Right. Exactly. They're all gonna say the same stuff. It's gonna be interesting. I'll tell you what. And this is something I've been thinking about. I don't know what could happen. We'll get right into this. As far as DH, would you be opposed, even though he's only 20 years old? You know where I'm going.
Yep. Would I be opposed? I'm opposed to most everything they do, but go ahead.
Right.
Go ahead.
Because everybody says his bat can play at the major league level. He's just got to work on his quote unquote his position, which is going to be first base. Would you be opposed to just throwing him out there in DH?
Who?
Bryce Eldridge as your DH.
No, I think he's got to develop as a hitter and as a player in the field. So he's got to get playing time, not just at bats. Playing.
I agree. I'm just saying, let's say the Giants, we're in May and the Giants ain't doing so well. They're scuffling.
But I hear you, because here we are, you and I on a Saturday afternoon. We're kind of reaching, aren't we? We're like, how do we get him in the lineup? Because what do we got? We don't have enough. So how do we get this guy?
Yes. Correct. That's and that's kind of where I'm going. Because what if we get in May, June, Giants are scuffling, people ain't showing up to the park, especially if it's summertime and all the kids are out of school and you're not seeing people in the park. And they start, maybe the Giants panic a little bit and they bring up Bryce Eldridge. Would you be opposed of him being the DH? Again, I mean, I don't want to do anything, and I've been on record, I don't want to mess with his development at first base, but I'm just saying, if you need that extra thump in the lineup, Bryce Eldridge, and again, he's going to have to force the issue, right? It's not like it's a given. Again, me and you have talked about this. It should always be a competition, and even though it is going to be a competition for Eldridge, but it's going to be a competition against himself, because if he is not doing what he's supposed to be doing, well, then, who knows what can happen. But as far as DH, I mean, it sounds like it's probably just like what Posey said. It's going to probably be revolving door. If let's say Flores is playing first base because they're facing a lefty, of course you're going to see Wade probably DH. When Wade is at first base, well, it's probably going to be Flores at DH. Now, the odd man out in that situation is going to be Encarnacion. I mean, I don't know where you put him. Do you make him a first baseman as well? I don't know, because I know you're high on Encarnacion. Where do you think he fits in the mix?
See, Encarnacion He played a decent left field. Well, we don't need left field. This is a problem, Eric. And this all goes back to what you're trying to do. You're trying to almost plug in. Good teams have to plug players in. And you're talking about, if Flores today is starting at first, then we got a different DH. Just give me a good team. Give him who's our DH? Let him DH. What are we doing with all these gimmicks? Well, see, this goes back to platooning, lefty, righty. Was this Farhan? Was this Farhan Zaidi? Or are we actually stuck in Giants? Is this Giants baseball?
I hope it isn't. I'm hoping it was a Farhan thing, but I until the games are starting to be played and we can witness it with our own eyes to see what is being changed from the Farhan era and entering into the Posey era, we just don't know how they're going to do this. But yes, there are pieces out there. No, and the problem is and it kind of sucks. I'm not trying to shit on these players, but you got some of these other teams. Would Encarnacion even be on the roster, so to speak? Maybe not. I don't know. I mean, yeah, he showed something last year, but the numbers really didn't pan out. But he did have loud contact. So I don't know, man.
I like his bat. I like the pop off the bat. If you follow that kind of the statistical analysis of baseball, they say that the ball comes off his bat hard. Even in a lot of his outs last year, they were picked at third base. They were run down in the outfield. Yeah. Big outfield at Oracle Park. But don't forget where they got him, Eric. I was high. I said, hey, I looked at his numbers from the Mexican League, and everybody laughed at me. Everybody was like, he'll never even get a sniff. What were they doing? Another Farhan type signing, right?
Yeah,
this guy's not even that bad in the major. Well, a couple of weeks later, they had to bring him up. He's batting about 340 down in AAA. They brought him up. He did a decent job, Eric. But again, where did they get him? They got him from a Mexican league. And this again was Farhan Zaidi and Giants baseball in general. We're going to see if it was Farhan type baseball, where they bring him from Mexico. They're always looking for the diamond in the rough. Maybe we can shine this thing up. And I call it dumpster diving. I call it gimmicks. Just give me a lineup. Good teams in Major League Baseball don't do this, Eric. If you go to Yankee Stadium, it doesn't matter if Aaron Judge has a good game or a bad game, a la the playoffs, the World Series. But
don't get me started.
But you buy a ticket, you're going to see him. I never knew in the last 4 or 5 years, Eric. I didn't know who was playing. The adage, you need to buy a scorecard. Remember scorecards? You get a little pencil and a scorecard. No tour in anywhere Major League Baseball than Oracle Park.
Right. Exactly. And
Am I wrong?
No.
Do you want, hey, somebody calls me up, how are your Giants looking this year, Glenn? I go, not too bad. It's going to be a tough race this year to just get the playoffs, but we got confidence. We got high hopes for this club. And they go, oh, who's your DH? You go,
depends on the day of the week.
We got 4 of them. Who's your first baseman? Well, I got 1, 2. We got 3 of them, and one really good one maybe in AAA. So again, too many people, too many faces, and too many places in the roster. And I think they had an opportunity, Eric, this offseason. Spend a little money, and fill these positions. However, if they want to go with Lamont Wade Jr., I don't agree. If they want to go with him, then make him don't give me this. Well, he plays opening day. Oh, Wilmer's in the next 3 days. Oh, Lamont's back. Oh my God, they're going to give them a rest, Derek. They're going to give them a rest. After 1 week, they each play 2 games. Well, we're going to put Encarnacion at first today. This reeks of losing baseball to me.
Yeah, and it doesn't stop there, because I guess Susan Slusser, she had put it out there that looks like the Giants are going to give some run for Lamont Wade Jr. in the outfield, which doesn't make sense, because you got Luis Matos. I mean, I don't understand, and yes, it's only going to be 1 more year, right? With the Lamont Wade Jr. and Wilmer Flores platooning at first base. But what's kind of a joke, and it's been like this for the last couple of years. What other Major League Baseball team has a platoon at first base? I can't think of one off the top of my head. It's whoever's your first baseman is your first baseman. Granted, is he going to take a day off here and there? Of course, right? That'll happen. But for the most part, a Pete Alonso, a Paul Goldschmidt, a Christian Walker, right? Freddie Freeman, their first baseman, right? There's going to be no platooning, so to speak.
Yeah. Same can be said at DH, though, too, Eric. Every Major League Baseball team, you look at their roster, you go, oh, there's your DH. And he can be spelled once in a while. But we're talking about spelling every day. We don't know. Well, he's out, so put him in. It's just a chess match among they're playing themselves. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, is this a fair point to make with the San Francisco Giants? We're talking about these situations today. Who plays where? Why do they play? Why are we platooning? And I believe personally that the Giants themselves as an organization don't know what the hell they've got. They had an opportunity to play young players, find out what they've got, move on from some if they need be, trade older players. This team continues to spin its wheel. I believe they don't know what they've got. And they're in a position where we got a whole lot of, B-rate players, C players, and we're just trying to plug them in and we're trying to find wins instead of go out and get wins with your best players.
Right. And they're kind of talking about the organization. They're their own worst enemy. And that's more so for me is the ownership, but I don't want to get into that right now, but to stick with the first base and DH, here's another question. I forgot about this guy, Marco Luciano. They want to make him an outfielder, but is he going to have at this particular time? Is he going to have to DH? And again, where do you put him as a DH? You got so many of these guys. Do you see what I'm saying? I mean,
wait a sec. Is it fair to say then, if you're talking about putting other players, Lamont, right? Lamont also came up as an outfielder player.
Correct.
Then all of a sudden you're talking about, okay, then Ramos is going to be D. So you got to add Ramos to the DH equation all of a sudden. We only have 3 outfield positions, so they're talking about, how are we going to get 7 players out there, Eric?
Yeah, I know.
This is a frustrating organization.
I don't know what they're going to – and this is why I think we talked about this on the show during the offseason. Get a damn trade in there somewhere. Try to offload some of the surplus that you have. Now, are they – as you and you rightfully have identified, are these guys that other teams really want? Well, I'm guessing maybe there might be a few guys. Luciano, maybe a guy you could have traded. Your surplus in starting pitching, they could have moved somebody there. But again, this is the issue I think we're at, and this is why I think we're asking about these questions. What's going on? First base, I think we kind of understand. It's Wilmer and it's Wade, right? I think that's what DH again is just going to be. I don't know. They're going to have to try to find at bats for some of these guys. And you know how it is with baseball. It's all about the routine. You got to stay in that routine. So to get hot, so to speak, sometimes you got to get, 30 at bats in a row before you start getting into your groove. And by that time are these players going to get that set amount of at bats just to be able to find that groove and be able to contribute? It's going to be interesting. I always say that it's going to be interesting just because it is, because I don't know what to expect from the 2025 Giants in those particular positions. Now, granted, Bryce Eldridge, he's coming, but in the meantime for 2025, and again, and this goes to the broader question of what you were saying, Glenn, what is this? How is this? Where is the timeline for this organization? They're kind of, you remember Dave Tobner, we read that his article. They're kind of in the mushy middle. I love that. They're in the mushy middle because they're not necessarily going full in with the youth, with a quote unquote rebuild. And they're not really going out there and putting as many players as they could put. And when I'm talking about is free agency or a trade, I'm not saying you have to be the Los Angeles Dodgers, but they should be able to they should have been able to spend a little bit more money, fortify that lineup again, because at this particular time, Glenn, is the farm system be able to crank out the players that you need to make your team competitive at this particular time? We got one guy right now, pretty much.
Well, this is a problem, Eric, as you call it, the mushy middle. The problem with that is good organizations have been bad.
Yeah.
We're always in the middle. If you don't, it's like somebody who's hard up in life. You got to hit rock bottom before you
change.
You change. This organization, if they want to be in the mushy middle, then they're not going to end up with very good draft positioning.
Right.
I mean, lucky. Now with the draft, you could be in the mushy middle and end up with the 27th pick, Eric. So
well, to be honest with you,
this problem's again a Giants problem where they're their own worst enemy. They don't want to suffer to be good. They always, I call it putting Band-Aids on the pipe here. We're trying to stop.
And I tell you what, I think the Giants kind of have missed the boat in that respect, and I'll tell you why. Look at the Chicago Cubs, and this is because of the last CBA. Was it the last CBA? Yeah, it was the last CBA where they implemented this. They were the worst team in history of the game, right? They lost more games than any other club has ever lost in a baseball season. Did they get the first pick? Nope. Guess where they are? Number freaking 12. No, 10. They're number 10. They got the 10th pick. Why? Because of the lottery. So now you can't even, quote unquote, tank to get those top draft picks because you fall into a lottery. So you kind of miss the boat in being able to build a team by, quote unquote, sucking it up. So now guess what? It's more on the organization to go out there and draft the right people, and hopefully you could develop them. That is going to be key. And I think right now, the Giants are in purgatory, so to speak, because we don't know. I don't think the farm system right now, the biggest guy, of course, is Bryce Eldridge. And after that, we just don't know. Yeah, I mean, we just signed Joe Sarr. But we're talking 4 to 5 years down the road, and we don't even know what's going to happen at that particular time. So in the meantime, if you cannot rely on your farm, then you know what? Then you got to go spend a little bit more money if you want your team to be competitive until those young guys that you draft and develop start trickling in, right? Because again, Posey hasn't even had a draft yet. His fingerprints, so to speak, isn't going to be on this team. I'm talking about roster construction only. I'm not talking about philosophy. For roster construction, it's going to be years before we understand what Posey has been able to do with this roster. Now, is there going to be a change of philosophy? I think there's going to be. I think that will help. And I think I've already said, hey, I think the team's going to win more than last year. But guess what? Other teams also got better. And I think they're on the outside looking in as far as the wild card is concerned.
Fair to say, one other point I will add to that area, piggybacking on your thoughts, if the Giants, and they have to, if the Giants are going to look to the future with young guys, build their prospects in the minors, develop players who will be keys to our future success at the major league level, they've got to start identifying who they've got, who they want to develop, who they're going to look to their future. Again, we've had a lot of, in my opinion, we've got Fitzgerald, Ramos. Now you've got a few guys who come up. They say Meckler's pretty decent. Now you've got, but I don't think I think they've been mismanaged at the minor league level to the point where the Giants, they don't know. Again, what do they got in their minor league system? I mean, to say it was only a year ago. We're just I think nicely into the season when I started hearing the name Meckler being thrown around. Oh, Meckler. He came up, he was down. His name doesn't surface much anymore.
No, not so much. He needs to play
a sec. I thought you had the next coming of, the best center fielder here, and all of a sudden now you get Jung-Hoo Lee, of course. I just think there's a lot of changes that have to be made off the field before this team can get better on the field. They have to identify the future of the organization.
They do. Absolutely.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say they can't even identify what the lineup's going to be on a day-to-day basis. We're only a month out. So how can we look to the future and building this organization to a playoff team, a perennial playoff team, not just sneaking in when they don't even can't even figure out a roster?
Right. And, we'll get a little bit more clarity as spring training goes because this coming up week, all the players should be reporting. First game is going to be a week from today, a matter of fact, Glenn. So that's going to be exciting to be able to just hear the crack of the bat, pop of the glove type of thing. But, Buster Posey, he's got a tall order in front of him. This isn't just about creating the roster of what you have today. He's got to have the he's got to have the tools ahead of him to understand what he's got to do for the future of this organization, and it's not going to be easy.
I got to ask you this then. If you're going to bring up his name, Buster Posey, I said right from the get-go, and you were kind of on him. I think you've taken a few steps back. Correct me if I'm wrong. I said the guy. What is the guy? The guy just steps into a job at the utmost level.
Mm-hmm.
He's never been a GM at AAA, or he's just all right. You're in. And all of a sudden, I'm supposed to rely as a Giant fan on this guy building the superior team in the Western Division, compete with the Dodgers, be a playoff team. When his first off season, I'm poo-pooing on it.
I get it. I understand it. And yes, there is, he's got to take a little bit of the, what if you want to call blame, but ownership, I think, is the bigger issue at hand. But I'll tell you what, and I agree with you. He's a Hall of Famer. He was a leader on the field. He was a leader in the clubhouse when he was a player, right?
I don't care. Right, that's unless you're going somewhere I don't understand. That's chatter. When you say the guy was a winner as a player, Eric.
Yes.
He was a winner as a player.
Hear me out. So he has the traits and characteristics. Okay, that's good. You need to have that, but does that mean he could be a successful executive? It's a different ball of wax, right? Yes, on the field, he was fantastic. But in the office, can he have that same type of success that he did as a player? We don't know. But I'll tell you one thing. He's come out and he's made some interesting comments, right? Talked about having a gunslinger in Encarnacion, talking about maybe getting some trades done that really didn't materialize. Talking about relying on the youth. And, specifically with the rotation, but right now it looks like it's just going to be a competition between two of the youths.
The youths?
Yes, the two of the youths. And then, of course, in the outfield, you still got Jung-Hoo Lee's still, I would consider him young as far as MLB is concerned, because he only really had a month and a half worth of MLB playing time. You still got Ramos, we'll see what he does. And of course, Fitzgerald and Bailey. But yeah, I mean, you one thing I'm not going to do, and me and you kind of talked a little bit about it before we went live. I'm not going to fall into the same trap that we did with Farhan. When Farhan was hired back in the offseason of 2018, everyone was excited. Hey, we got the Dodger guy who made them success. Well, it really wasn't the hand of Farhan as much as it was Andrew Friedman. I'm not going to say he wasn't, had some input. Of course he did. Max Muncy comes to mind. But I'm not going to do the same thing with Buster Posey. I'm just not. Even though he is a fantastic Giant, finished his career as a Giant, brought us 3 world championships. That will never be forgotten. But I'm not going to fall into that same boat where I'm going to sit there and just automatically just say, he has my support throughout, no matter what. No, he will have my support depending on what he does. If he's out there and he's getting shit done, okay, I'm good. Hey, you got my confidence, right? You've earned my respect.
Right, I agree with you.
Right, respect is earned. I will respect him as a man. Look, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about respect as performing your position as the president of baseball operations.
But you and I have seen it on a daily basis when we go live, Giant Sports Talk Live, 8 p.m., Monday through Sunday. We're taking a couple of days off during the evenings because we're going to be ramping it up. Oh, it's going to get busy for us, Eric. But I came into the whole Buster Posey era with high hopes. And you remember after he was hired, I would go on the show with you. And I thought, all right, finally we got at least somebody who will go into a room and he will garner and command that respect from other GMs.
Yes.
Problem is, he didn't take it and run with it this offseason. He didn't get as much, done as I thought he would.
Right.
So far,
get a trade.
Oh, the whole trade situation.
I really thought he was going to get a trade. That was probably
you just brought it up, Eric. You just talked about it. You're talking about Buster Posey. Well, I'll believe it when I start seeing it. If he can't pull the trigger on one trade, come on.
Yeah.
He didn't get rid of any excess. I think I don't know. I've said it. I know other channels have spoken highly about this same topic, Eric, that the Giants just seem to fall in love with their players and they don't want to move on players. Well, come on. If you're going to get better, you must have identified by now. Just because Buster Posey wasn't the general manager, He's owner of the ball club, a part owner, as you know.
Part owner. Yep.
If I'm part owner of anything, I'm still going to know what the hell I got going on over there.
Yeah, right.
So he should have identified already. Before he started on day one, he should have had a good idea of who had to go, who could stay. It just seems like they're in limbo. All right, let's get back to the topic at hand before we wrap it up. First base. How's this going to play out in your thought? Platoon again?
I think it's going to be Wade and Flores, of course. Flores, we'll see. He had a weird injury. Look, it wasn't an injury that is what do you want to call it? Doesn't have chronic injury. He went over to handrail last year, the beginning of the season, and he wasn't right the whole season.
I was there. That was military day. It was a Sunday afternoon military day at the ballpark in San Diego, and I was there.
It was only like the second game of the season.
Did you see that? Holy crap! And it didn't look good.
Yeah, it didn't.
He missed a lot of time,
and it derailed his whole season last year. So does he come back and be healthy? We'll see. Wade is a bigger question mark. Is he going to be able to make it through the entire season without a lower body type of injury? Again, hamstring. He's got issues with the hamstring. We will see how that pans out. But honestly, we can get more into this, when we get into the season. But I would not be surprised if we see the appearance of Bryce Eldridge in September, somewhere around there. If we're seeing him before that, something ain't right? Or he's just forcing the hand. But from what everyone is saying, I'm talking about in an organization, they want to give him a full year. So if he's coming up in July, I think there might be some issues going on at first base. But if he comes up in September, that's fine. That's a September call-up, the last month of baseball. And that's normally when you want to bring your guys up just to see. Yeah, that's fine.
Get him a taste of, he should be. You bring him up and you give him a little taste of what the playoff stretch. We might not be in the playoff stretch. But to your point, Eric, if you're going to be platooning at first base, it's going to be a spiral effect. That will create what? A platoon situation at the DH. Because if Wilmer's at first, he ain't DH, and they're going to put somebody in there. Then you're talking about having all these guys who are going to get outfield playing time. So when Ramos isn't in there, where do you put him? DH? It is just, in my opinion, a mess.
I don't know how. We'll see. Once they get through spring training and the roster is set, the 26-man is set, then we can come to a little bit clearer picture, so to speak, and we can really get into it and say, okay, this is what they're rolling with. I'm not afraid to put it out there, Eric. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Unlike some people who come into our nightly chat, this is the greatest ball club, and this is we got a murderer's row, Eric. We got a Thomas and Ramos. I tell you what. I would much rather sit here and be proven wrong than just fall hook, line, and sinker. For me, the way the organization has been the last few years, I have issues with what I hear from them and what I see. I have to see an improvement, and then we could go. And if I'm proven wrong, hey, that's fine. But you know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to sit here and just because you have one magical year like they did in 2021 doesn't mean that the team is built to last, so to speak. Look, any club can have a lucky year. They could. No doubt. There's no doubt about it. But I want that sustained success throughout. But again, it's going to take time.
Amen. What say you, our viewers? Thank you for tuning in for a Saturday short. Eric and I might do this on a regular basis on Saturday afternoons. Post up a little video. Give us your thoughts. Post them down in the comments. Eric and I read them. We'll get back to you if we would like to so do that. Some of them get a little out of control, and I just move on. But so be it. Come in strong. Give us your thoughts, and we'll take a look at them. You might even mention them on an upcoming show. Eric, it's been a good Saturday afternoon getting to tackle a very important topic today, I think.
And before we get out of here, tomorrow is the second installment of the Hot Corner. It's already up. Go check it out. It's on our channel, and it's also on NorCal Sports. So check it out. Gonna do the off-season grade. Did the Giants improve this offseason? Full breakdown and grade. It's going to be fun. Tomorrow night, Glenn.
Should be fun.
We'll see. It's
and you know what? This is a Saturday short. We could have talked more about Encarnacion. We could have talked more about Luciano. I'm telling you, we'll see how training camp is going to play out. If Luciano,
that might be a
he might just be done. they got to move on from some sooner or later. They got to move on from some players. They got to have the balls to do it.
And you know what? It could be in a couple of weeks. Maybe one of these Saturday shorts is going to be talking about Luciano. It's possible because maybe he gets traded. Maybe who knows? The story's going to be told here shortly.
I just want to see this guy right here in the lineup more this year. He's good for the extra base. That's my prediction for the year. I'm going out and saying you're going to see a lot of extra base hits from that guy, Wilmer Flores.
It would be nice. Honestly, that would be nice to see.
But let's get a lineup on the field. We'll see something of a lineup Saturday, a week away. Can't wait. Oh, yeah. Can't wait. Baseball's here, Eric. Thanks for Saturday afternoon, spending it with us. Thanks, Eric.
All right. Sounds good, Glenn. And we'll see you guys tomorrow night over there or on our channel, also on NorCal, Hot Corner. And then we'll be back with our own show on Monday night. Around 8.
Can't wait to see you guys then.
All right. See you guys. Be good out there. Woo!
You've been watching Giant Sports Talk Live with Eric and Glenn, a Northern Lights Entertainment Broadcasting production.